It's time to bring it all home with my division by division preview and prediction videos. It's time to talk about my least favorite division to talk about, the NFC East, or as I like to so affectionately refer to it as many times, the NFC least. Now, I do think this division is going to be just a shade better than last year. Not much. I'd expect there still to only be one team with a winning record out of this division, one team that makes the playoffs. The divisional race usually ends up being interesting later on in the year because it tends to be close because the teams usually aren't that great. And I don't know if it's going to be much different this year. This will probably be a divisional race that ultimately is decided in the last 3 to 4 weeks of the season. I would think that's the way it's probably going to go. It may even come down to week 17, honestly. So let's talk about the teams in this division. The Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not expecting a lot out of them, and that's okay. Because, for the Eagles, they accomplished a couple of things. They got rid of Chip Kelly. That was success number one. Number two, after the stupidity of re-signing Sam Bradford, it ended up working out to be genius because they were able to trade Sam Bradford, of all things, to a quarterback-desperate team like the Minnesota Vikings for a future first and fourth round pick. Success number two. And success number three was being able to trade up from 13 all the way to pick number 2 to ultimately get the best quarterback in the 2016 NFL draft in Carson Wentz. And now the stage is set for Carson Wentz to be the starter from week 1 and going forward. It's all about the Carson Wentz experience for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, how do guys like Eat That Pussy and others feel about this? I don't really know. But they should be exciting. It should be the beginning of a new time in Philadelphia Eagles football. He should be, down the road, the new Donovan McNabb for this organization. And hopefully the young wide receivers that he has on that side of the ball, and Jordan Matthews and Nelson Aguilar and Dorial Green-Beckham, who they just recently acquired via trade from the Tennessee Titans, can grow and develop with him. Because if they can, you're talking about Jordan Matthews is only in his 3rd season. Aguilar and DGB are only in their 2nd year. This could be a nice, exciting trio of wide receivers for Carson Wentz to work with for the next several years. This could potentially be an explosive Philadelphia Eagles passing game in the future. But for the time being, you've got Ryan Matthews and Darren Sproles still in the backfield. If Matthews can stay healthy, which is always a big if, maybe the running game will be nice or at least adequate. Carson Wentz certainly will help the running game with his athletic ability. Defensively, they're still lacking in some places. It's just not a good team. To me, when I look at the Eagles, it'll really be all about how Carson Wentz grows and develops over the course of the year. That's what this season is all about because they went so in on him during the draft to get him. It's about him. And at the end of the year, 3 of the last 4 games are home games against divisional opponents. Week 14, Washington. Week 16, the Giants. Week 17, the Cowboys. You'd like to see, if you're an Eagles fan, the Eagles be competitive and play well there and maybe win 1 or 2 of those divisional games late in the year because you can start to feel good about the momentum you're building up for 2017. I think the Eagles are maybe a 5-win football team, but again, it's not just about the wins and losses this year. It's all about Carson Wentz and his development. There is reason for hope and excitement for the future of the Eagles franchise. The Washington Redskins took advantage of a situation last year where the Giants toiled to mediocrity. The Eagles disappointed. The Dallas Cowboys had the foundation plummet from under them. The Redskins were fortunate. They were opportunistic. They took advantage of the opportunity. They seized upon it, and they won the division. Made the playoffs. Good for them. I don't think that shit is happening this year. Their schedule's a little tougher this year. Kirk Cousins had a nice year, but not a great year last year. Is he really going to repeat this year? I don't know about all that. They've got some nice weapons in the passing game in Jordan Reed and Deshaun Jackson, Pierre Garcon. You got a slot guy like Jamison Crowder. First-round pick Josh Doxson comes back from his Achilles injury. You're talking about a wide receiving core that could be a little exciting. We'll see what type of consistency they get out of the young running back Matt Jones, their 3rd-round pick from last year, out of the backfield. Defensively, they're an okay unit, but nothing special. Their offensive line is improved. The Redskins would seem, in theory, to be a safe pick. I'm not buying it. I think this is probably more honestly a 7-win team this year with the slight improvement of the division and the toughening of the schedule a little bit for the Redskins. The Dallas Cowboys, a lot of people were probably picking them before the season to win the division. And it's understandable, the whole narrative of if they have Tony Romo healthy, they're the best team in the division. If they don't have him, they're just another face in the crowd. But Tony Romo, you thought was going to be healthy. They got Des Bryant back healthy. Jason Witten's still there. That offensive line is still massively good. They drafted Ezekiel Elliott 4th overall, so they're going to have all types of star power on offense. Going to have those big names there. They're going to be able to control the clock, keep the defense off the field, and be able to run the ball consistently, protect the quarterback. And this is a team that can maybe make a serious run. And who knows, at the end of the day, maybe that's still the case. Maybe we're sleeping on them a little bit. The simple fact of the matter is that even with Tony Romo, this team is no guarantee to win this division. And now that he's out for the first several weeks and you're starting a 4th-round rookie in Dak Prescott, yes, people will get giggly tits about he performed in the preseason, but it was the preseason. Let's face it. And, how much stock are you really going to put into that? There were some encouraging signs, but some of the players around him helped bail him out at times when he made some bad throws, let's face it. But we're going to see. It's going to be important for this team early on, especially weeks 1 and 2. They play the Giants at home in week 1, and then they travel to Washington in week 2. They got to win one of those 2 games. Because you don't want to fall behind the 8 ball those first 2 weeks with Prescott as your starter, and you start off 0-2. 0-2 in the division, even worse. And now you've got a young quarterback that you've lost 2 straight games with to start the year. And now you're thinking history's going to repeat itself from last year, where if you don't have Tony Romo, you can't win football games. You're going to have to ride Ezekiel Elliott. Des Bryant's going to have to stay healthy, and he's going to have to play like Des Bryant is supposed to play. That offensive line is going to need to play like that offensive line is supposed to. Because at the end of the day, the key to success for the Dallas Cowboys in 2016 is going to be very eerily reminiscent to 2014. Some of the faces maybe changed a little bit. Dak Prescott early in the year instead of Tony Romo, Ezekiel Elliott instead of DeMarco Murray. But they're going to have to, because this defense is not going to be that good again. And in particular, it's going to be interesting to see how defensive coordinator Rob Marinelli squeezes a pass rush, especially early on in the year, out of this defensive front 4. It just doesn't look like there's much of a pass rush to be had, especially on the outside. Maybe some of the defensive tackles can create a little bit of interior pass rush, but that could seem to me all year to be a struggle point for this Dallas Cowboys defense, is going to be their inability to rush the passer. And, in a division where you're going to be playing Eli Manning twice a year, and yes, I'll say even Kirk Cousins twice a year, you'd like to be able to put more pressure on the quarterback than what I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to be able to do. So at the end of this, you're starting off with 2 straight divisional opponents. They can't start off the season 0-2. Otherwise, they're in a bad way early on. And it won't matter at that point in time when Romo comes back, because they'd have to damn near win out probably to win the division. Week 5 and 6, they host Cincinnati, then they go to Green Bay. There's a chance for the Dallas Cowboys to really fall behind the 8 ball here. So if and when Tony Romo does come back, you're in a situation where you've got to win so many of your remaining games, and you're just not good enough to do that. I think the Cowboys will show better this year. I don't think they'll be quite as bad without Tony Romo, because I think Dak Prescott, even as a rookie, is far better than anything they had playing for him last year. It will most certainly help having Ezekiel Elliott and what he can do as a 3-down back at the NFL level. It most certainly would help to have Des Bryant healthy for a full year, along with Jason Witten still in the mix. That offensive line with another year of continuity and chemistry to improve. I still think this is a typical mediocre 8-8 Cowboys team. And even with Tony Romo, I don't know how much better they honestly are now that I look at it. I do think the team to beat in this division this year is the New York Giants. That doesn't mean they're great or spectacular. I just think they happen to be a little bit better than the rest of the bunch. You've got Eli Manning. As it stands right now, they've got the best quarterback in the division. They've got the best playmaker in the division in Odell Beckham Jr. The free agent moves they made on the defensive side of the ball in signing Olivier Vernon and Janoris Jenkins did address 2 major areas of concern on that defense, edge rush and some talent at the corner position. Where does that running game come from? Are they going to go with a 3 or 4 back committee all year long like they did last year? Because that really wasn't that successful. It really affected their ability to generate some type of identity and rhythm on the ground, take some of the pressure off of Eli. But when I look at this team, I think they're just the best equipped over the course of the full season to come out on top of this division and maybe finish like 10-6. Really, it's going to come down to the second half of the season for this team. I'll list off some of their late season games. Weeks 9 through 11, they've got 3 straight home games. Philadelphia, Cincinnati, and Chicago. Must go 2-1 in that stretch. Be great if they go 3-0, but it's nice right in the middle of the season to have 3 straight home games. Then you look at 3 of the last 4 games again. Are divisional games. They host Dallas in week 14. Then their last 2 weeks, they go on the road to face Philadelphia and Washington. It's really going to come down to, for the Giants, that middle stretch of the season defending their home field and being able to hold themselves well at the end of the year in those games that are really going to matter that perhaps will decide this division. I expect the Giants with Eli to be able to get the job done and finish 10-6 and go lose in the first round of the playoffs. There. Happy.